Okay, so Barcelona won 3-0 against newly promoted side Real Oviedo with 3 goals coming from Raphinha, Lamine Yamal, and Dani Olmo. I wouldn't say it was the best of games, especially in the first half, because I didn't think we played well. We didn't approach the game the right way, and that made it difficult for us to get a breakthrough in the first half. And to be fair, to be very honest, it was okay and it was fair for it to have ended 0-0 in the first half. Expectedly, we dominated the first half. We had control of the possession, but we didn't really do anything with it. We didn't have the cutting edge. Real Oviedo were very, very smart in the approach. Credit to the coach. He knew what he had to do. I'm sure he probably had watched the game we played against Real Sociedad and the other games that we drew or we lost, and he knew how to approach the game. One of the things they did, which they did very well, was to remain compact. It was difficult for us to find a way through, to be honest. Yeah, I agree that there are no easy games with football, but there are some games that with the quality you have at your disposal, it should not be difficult for you to take the game by the scruff of the neck, especially when you're playing at home, impose your quality and get results early on. And that is what I expected us to do against Real Oviedo. As in, seriously, Real Oviedo are last on the table, as in last. When I say last, I mean very, very far from us in the LaLiga table. This is a team that currently, after this game, are 39 points away from us. They are most likely going to be relegated with the kind of football they're playing and with the results they have been churning out since the beginning of the season. And that is why I expected that when the game started, we should have hit them hard at the very beginning. Again, one of the reasons why I thought that we should have got the game going earlier than we did is because we needed to rest players for the game we have in the Champions League on Wednesday, which is a very crucial game. A game that we cannot afford to lose. In fact, a game that we should win and we should win well. So I expected us to be able to get the game going, get goals early, make substitutions so we can rest players, but unfortunately that's not what happened. Until the second half, we didn't really see Barcelona play the kind of football that we expected them to play in the game. The first half wasn't very eventful for me. In fact, the first half we played was one of the worst performances I've seen from Barcelona this season, and this kind of performances need to stop. Playing against top teams would mean the game would have ended in the first half. Imagine you're playing against Real Madrid, for example. Maybe you're playing against Atletico Madrid and you're playing with that kind of attitude, with that kind of performance. It is very likely we're going to go behind before the end of the first half, which is going to be difficult for us. But one thing I like about Hansi Flick is that he's a coach that is not afraid to make the right changes in the game, regardless of what time it is. And I think that one of the things he did, which was very, very cool in this game, was taking out Gerard Martin and replacing it with Jules Koundé. Yes, I was happy Jules Koundé wasn't starting because he's been pretty poor for a large chunk of this season. But Gerard Martin looked like a red card that was coming, and it was nice to see that Hansi Flick made the choice quickly before something happened to him in the game. And of course, the second half started with a different mentality from every Barcelona player on the pitch. And it showed in how we played. We played with more urgency. We pressed more. We forced them into errors, which was, by the way we got our first 2 goals were by forcing them into errors. And that is something we should have done in the first half, to be honest. Our first goal in the game was a result of pure hard work. And that hard work was initiated by Lamine Yamal. Credit to him. One of the things he did that made us get that goal was he pressured the defender who had the ball. I think the defender was trying to play the ball out, but the pressure made him lose the ball to Raphinha. Raphinha was trying to maybe pass and he misplaced the pass and the ball fell to Dani Olmo. Dani Olmo controlled it and boom, you know what comes next. A fantastic goal, and that was how we got our lead. Dani Olmo is a player that I really, really love, but the major challenge I have with him is the fact that he struggles to stay fit. We've seen this many times. We've seen this happen many times where, he begins to get into form and he gets an injury. I really hope that doesn't happen because right now we need this quality in every game we are playing from now to the end of the season. And I hope we're able to keep him fit, keep him firing because, boy, that guy is important to the team. I'm very, very certain that Hansi Flick must have given the instructions to the players to make sure they don't make them comfortable on the ball because that was something we were not able to do in the first half. And of course, we got our second goal again because of pressure. In this case, it was a wrong pass. The defender was trying to pass to the keeper, and Raphinha, we know him. He's usually very, very responsive, very fast. He lashed onto the ball and dinked it over the keeper, and 2-0, the game was pretty much done from then. And then we scored our third goal from Lamine Yamal, which I would call a fantastic goal, a masterpiece, an overhead kick from a cross by Dani Olmo. The cross wasn't particularly great. It was kind of going behind him and he had to adjust his body And whoa, that goal was fantastic. That goal is the best goal of the game, no doubt about that. I think it will probably be one of the goals of the week, one of the goals of the month, and possibly one of the goals of the season. I've never actually seen Lamine Yamal score that kind of goal. It was quite nice to see that he has that skill set in his armory, something that we can see in games coming in the future. Lamine Yamal is Lamine Yamal. There's really nothing to say about him. He's fantastic, a potential Ballon d'Or winner, maybe this year, maybe next year, but that guy is going to be on that podium one day, on the podium as the winner. We struggled massively in the first half, but our quality came through at the end of the day. With players like Raphinha, Lamine Yamal, Joao Cancelo, and the rest of them, it is difficult to not find a way through, especially when you're playing against a team that doesn't particularly have the quality that we have. With this win, Barcelona go back to first in the LaLiga table, 1 point ahead of Real Madrid. I can see the title race is going to go down to the wire. Real Madrid are playing with a lot of enthusiasm now with their new coach and all that, but we need to show them that we are kings and we intend to maintain the crown. So 3 points, 3 goals, clean sheet, and now we move on to the next game, which is a very, very important game for us in the Champions League, the game against Copenhagen, a game we need to win and win well. I'm going to be doing a review of that game and what we need to do and how we need to position ourselves, especially when we consider the fact that we're fighting against many other teams to make the top 8. So stay tuned, it's going to be fantastic. Alright guys, those are my quick thoughts for the game we played against Real Oviedo. 3-0, goals coming from Raphinha, Olmo, and Lamine Yamal. I would like to hear what you think about the game, who was the best player in the game, what was your best moment. Drop in the comments, I'd like to read from you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for the videos I'm going to be posting on the channel. Until then, live well, be safe, and Visca Barça.